The gloves are off between Max Verstappen and George Russell. This is fascinating, guys. Now, look, I'm a specialist technical coach and mentor for open formula drivers. We're going to talk about the mentoring side. Is George Russell doing the right thing? Can he take on Max Verstappen? Where is this going to end up? And is this the right play if you harbor aspirations of winning yourself a world championship? If you're interested in what my thoughts are, definitely keep watching. Welcome back to the channel, guys. We're going to talk about George Russell and Max Verstappen, what's been said up to this point during the week, and if this is the right play for George. Let's just set the table, and I'm going to bring up a few images on the screen. We're going to run through them together, what's been said, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. All right, hopefully you can see that on the screen in front of you. So this is the first quote that I saw, and it's George saying, "I find it quite ironic seeing as Saturday night he said he was going to purposefully go out of his way to crash into me, and put me on my effing head in the wall." So to question somebody's integrity as a person while saying comment like that the day before, I find is very ironic, and I'm not going to sit here and accept it. Now, look, that's the first piece of evidence that I wanted to talk to you guys. Now, look, on this one, this reminds me of Ayrton Senna, Alan Prost, 1990. If you recall, Ayrton got pole and he wanted to start on the racing line where pole position always is, and they moved him to the inside to start on the dirty side of the track. And Ayrton says, well, hang on. Why am I on pole starting on the inside on the dirty side of the track? We've never done this before. This has never happened. Like, if I lose the lead into turn one or down into turn one off the start, like, there's going to be dramas, guys. I'm warning you now. Like, if you put me here and I lose the lead, you can forget it. I'm not racing under those circumstances. That's what Ayrton said. So what happens? Prost gets him off the line. Ayrton's on the dirty side, and Ayrton says, "Nah, stuff this. Okay, crash into Alan and ruin the whole thing and become champion that way." Now, he justifies it later by saying, Alan was behind on points and he should know that if there's a gap opening. No, that's all cope for. The real Ayrton was, I'm not starting this race on the inside. What are you talking about? Of course I'm going to lose the lead. I'm not racing from there. I'm pole. I deserve pole. I deserve the racing line, and I'm going to crash. Now, you know, fast forward to what we see here with Max Verstappen. This is a similar sort of thing, right? Because Max got pole. FIA, stewards, George Russell taking that pole off him, putting him P2. And this is the Senna reaction. Like, of course I'm going to go out of my way to put you in the wall because I deserve pole position. Max is just saying, like, he deserves to be pole and leading into turn one. That's how he feels. Now, this is a question of, do you hate the player or do you hate the game? And do you take this personally or take this professionally? So, yeah, of course, I don't agree with Max's words here, but I understand where he's coming from, the frustration that he did a good lap and has to start P2. So I think Max is taking aim here at George because he feels like George has influenced the stewards' decision. And he feels like it's not the stewards who did him wrong. He feels like it's George who did him wrong. And this is where I would potentially disagree with Max. He's probably taking aim at the wrong person. Like George said, take it professionally. Don't take it personally. Like, George is just questioning the referee. If the referee then is influenced by George, I feel that's on the referee. You know, the referee should be saying, "Shut up, George. Like, leave me to this. I know what I'm doing here. Like, let me make the call with the information I have." And that's proper referee values and intention. So to be influenced by the referee, I think is a bad referee's call. Now, I guess Max is having a go at George here for potentially trying to influence the referee, but what else are you going to do if you're a Formula One driver competing for a race wins or world championships? Of course, you're going to have to ask the question of the referee the same way Max asked the question of Lando Norris. Hey, double check what he's doing. Is he lifting in the yellow? Yeah, ask the question. But the referee is the one that ultimately made the decision here. So I understand Max's anger and frustration from the Senna context, but I think here he's probably taking aim at the wrong person. He wants to be angry with the stewards, is who he really should be angry with. And I don't see anything wrong from Max's intention here to be angry here. And again, don't take these words as literal. Just take them as he's frustrated, yeah? Because and it's the Senna thing. Like, if I lose the lead here, like, I'm going to, like I say, in Ayrton's case, he was taking aim at, he took out Prost, but he was taking aim at the decision to put him on the inside. And Prost was in the middle of that. And it's kind of a similar thing here, guys. I've always said it before, Max and Ayrton have a lot of parallels in their personality. It's win at all costs. I'll wipe you out if I have to win. And, when he feels like he's been mistreated, then you're going to see things like this pop through. So now we're going to move on to the second slide. And this is George again. I'm going to quote here. People have been bullied by Max for years now, and you can't question his driving abilities, but he cannot deal with adversity. Whenever everything has gone against him, Jeddah 21, Brazil 21, he lashes out. Budapest this year, the very first race, the car wasn't dominant. He's crashing into Lewis and slamming his team. As I said, for me, those comments on Saturday night were totally disrespectful and unnecessary. Oh, wow. Okay. So look, I'm just going to rewind the clock a little bit. I'm going to go back to my very first podcast as a specialist technical coach and mentor in 2023. This is what I said about Max Verstappen in the On the Curbs podcast when I was discussing his weaknesses, his only weakness that I could see at that time. Have a listen to what I said there.
I think on track, he's too good. So
that's not only just,
not only from a speed point of view, like his technique, and all the braking and whatever, but then the starts, the strategy, the racecraft, which we've already discussed, the fuel saving, the whole thing. Like he's too good, and he's spent too much time with good drivers on the sim, and he's seen everything. There's nothing he hasn't seen. You're not going to pull any tricks on Max, particularly in safety car restarts. He's excellent. He manages all that extremely well. Where you might find some weaknesses in Max, and we have to be honest and say we're all human. We all have weaknesses somewhere. So it's about saying, well, he has weaknesses because he's a human. Where are they and what could they be? So on track, I think you'd struggle to find one. But I think in the mindset side and the emotional side, I think there are a few buttons that you could potentially push there. You'll have to look back at Max's Formula One career so far and say, what annoyed him? What really got under his skin, and then how did that impact his driving? And I think if you look in that direction, you might find a few weaknesses, and that's when you got to ask yourself the question as a professional driver competing against Max, how can I do more of that? How can I keep pushing that button so that Max can't control his own emotions and mindset, and all that beautiful racecraft and all that falls apart. So it's not easy to do when the car's so strong, but there'll be opportunities.
Well, there you go, guys. That's exactly what I think Max's weakness is. It's sometimes he can get a little bit emotional, and sometimes that can cost him points. Yeah, I think it cost him points in Hungary. That was a sloppy race, and he was very unhappy with the car, and I think it cost him points. Now, going back to what George has said here, I think he's pressing at the same buttons that I was talking to before. Whenever everything has gone against him, he lashes out. Budapest this year. I like this play from George. I think this is the only way to get through Max Verstappen. I think you need to push these buttons and try to undo all of the beautiful driving that is Max Verstappen. Sometimes you've got to rock the boat a little bit. Sometimes you've got to crack some eggs if you want to bake a cake. And that's exactly what George is doing here. This is what Lando Norris couldn't do. Lando was too nice, attacking around the outside, not playing the mental warfare game. And as a result, they're still friends, Max and Lando, and Max won and Lando lost. And I think what George is doing here is the right play. Now, look, I want to rewind you guys to the Qatar start when Max was starting P2 and George was starting on pole. Max got a killer start, an absolutely beautiful start. But if you have a look at the onboard, I think he took unnecessary risk there, or he took risk there. His reaction was beautiful. Absolutely perfect. And that gave him the initial launch, which meant he could get up the inside before they were even halfway down that straight. So that was a risk that was Max pushing the envelope a little bit further to try to get into the lead into turn one. And I think if George keeps pushing these buttons, whilst Max got a great start in Qatar, I think that eventually your mistake will come. And I think it was the right play from George. Now, what I would also say is, George didn't do himself any favor. Where was the defense off the line in Qatar? Max was angling his car across and George was straight. Why wasn't George angling his across to try to get to the inside and compete for turn one? I'm not sure what happened there, but I like the mental play from George. I think, like I said before, this is the only way to get through to Max Verstappen is keep pushing that button until it blows up is what you have to do. And whilst Max executed a perfect start and a perfect race in Qatar, try again, push it again. And I think eventually if he keeps doing that, the mistake will come. Now, from Max's point of view, I think Max is going to have to it's all fine now. It's 2024. He's won the world championship and we're moving into 2025. I think Max will want to self-reflect on this a little bit and just see does George have a point here? Max needs to look at this professionally. Don't take it personally. The exact same way what George said in reverse, Max is going to have to take it professionally and say, did I lose points in Hungary, in Budapest? Did I lose points in Mexico when I threw the car at Lando and got myself a 20-second penalty? Did that put me behind the Mercedes cars? Where should I have finished in that race? I think he needs to look at it professionally and say, yeah, maybe this could be the difference in a very close championship with George Russell. I can't let my frustrations take away from the championship standings. Now, just going back a few points, guys, it was really interesting to hear George say, don't take this personally. I'm not taking this personally. This is not personal on Max. I'm just doing my job here as a competitive racing driver, just questioning the referee like I should be doing. That's what I get paid to do, to score as most points as possible for my team. Take it professionally. It's almost like George has been watching the channel, guys, understanding what Max's weakness is and highlighting the don't take this personally, take it professionally line, which I've been saying for a while on this channel. I'm going to share that with you guys now. Don't take this personally, take it professionally. They need to do a better job to the extent at which the car is in the wall when it should be in Q3 and collecting points. Take it professionally. You got to improve. You got better job to do. You got work to do, and you need to focus on that. And I've given you the solution. Yeah, don't take it personally. Take it professionally. Now, one other thing I wanted to share with you guys is the way to beat Max, of course, is to mentally start to try to break down that wall, but also on track. The way to beat him is to start to break down that wall. I'm going to rewind you guys back to 2021, the sprint race and the main race in Silverstone. In the sprint race, Lewis starts attacking around the outside into Cop's corner. Doesn't really go his way. He reflects on that and says, you know what? If I get a chance again tomorrow in the main race, I'm going to go for the inside. And if we come together like we come together, it's exactly what I've been saying Lando should be doing in this championship moving forward. So let me share with you some images here. So this is the sprint race, and Lewis gets a good run on Max, starts to attack him around the outside, and this doesn't work. And then he gets the opportunity again in the main race. He says, you know what? If I'm in the same position again, I'm going for the inside. And if we come together, we come together. It's just part and parcel of racing. Lewis goes for the inside and bang, the rest is history. You guys know what happened here, right? And what I wanted to call out to you guys here is I don't want to see accidents of this magnitude, but I want to see you competing for the inside. And if it means you come together some of the time, that's just what happens. Lewis is walking away with points here and Max is out of the race because he competed for the inside. And like I said, I don't want to see this sort of thing happening and Max in the wall and going to hospital. Absolutely not. But I want to see George and Lando compete for the inside. And if it means you guys brush wheels, you guys brush wheels. That's just what's going to have to be done to try to get underneath the skin of Max Verstappen. Like I said before, if you want to make a cake, you've got to crack some eggs. That's just going to be the rough part of this. Now, look, it's not going to be the popular approach. A lot of fans here are going to maybe disagree with what I'm saying, and George is not quite popular at the moment, but I think it's the only way. How else do you beat Max Verstappen? Leave it in the comments for me. I don't think you're going to outdrive him or outrace him or outpace him or outqualify him. It's going to be very hard. I think you need to go under. I think you need to attack from the base and then let it collapse. If we're talking structural engineering, you need to attack the base and let the structure collapse from the top down. If you start to attack from the top, I think Max is too good. He's too strong. So I don't see any other way. I know it's the ugly way. I know it's the rough way. I know it's not the prettiest approach. Your hands are going to get dirty. There's, I think that's the way forward. And so, like I said before, like I would say to George, say, you're on the right track. Keep doing what you're doing. And from Max, because I don't have bias here, guys. So like from George's point of view, you're on the right track. Keep doing what you're doing. From Max's point of view, you're gonna need to. I think you might need to resolve. It depends how good the car is next year, but if it's a close championship battle, you're going to need to resolve for this, I feel like, and collect those points in Hungary and collect those points in Mexico and just add to your tally to become more complete as a racing driver. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Did you enjoy this video? Did you learn something from it? Do you agree that this is the only way? Like, I mean, I've watched pretty much every lap that Max has done in Formula One as near as makes no difference. And I don't see any other way, guys, other than what George is doing now is just start to pick at the personality of Max. But like I say, guys, this is high level motorsports now. There aren't many people in the world that know about this. And it's interesting to see George steal my line. Don't take it personally, take it professionally. And it's interesting to see him pushing at the weaknesses that I said Max Verstappen had. So George, if you're watching, welcome to the channel. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.